I'm very aware of my strengths and weaknesses as an athlete, and I know where I can excel and where I can't. So coming to the rugby field and building my IQ for the game and just figuring out how I can assert myself and how I can make an impact. I kind of figured out like what type of player I am. Like I feel like the best player that emulates like me is Sonny Bill Williams.
I think the minute I stepped on a practice field for rugby, the calling happened.
An 8-year plan to be on the team. And I was in it within 2 years.
Don't wait until you are a pro to be a pro. Right.
And I walk around with a rugby ball sometimes and they're like, what is this child on?
It looked like it was a heavy hit.
It's up, it's not up.
You know, that's the first time I played like professional.
I'm making rugby money. How can I make money outside of it?
And there's two Scottish guys and they said, oh, you're here for the movie.
That rugby is a game for all shapes and sizes, all cultural aspects.
He looked at me and he says, you guys are awesome.
Grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Bailu, and this is the show where we speak to people about the opportunities that they have found, created, or taken advantage of via rugby. Y'all, hey, look, I'm gonna apologize to you. It's been crazy, you know. This is the preparation to get into marriage, to do a wedding is always a crazy one. I don't think anybody can ever deny that, but man, it takes it to another level whenever you're doing it across 2 countries in 2 different continents, let alone just doing it in your own area. So it's making getting the podcast done and getting guests together a little bit more of a difficult process for now. But don't worry, it will come back together. I will not leave you abandoned from the information that you need to have to know these amazing people that are doing great things within this rugby sphere. And guys, we got a great one for you today. I got a great one for you today. I don't know who we is. We, you know, the producer, the host, the editor, you know, all that good stuff. But before I mention who it is that we have coming in, please, I want you to please take the time. Please subscribe to this on YouTube. Please check this out or on the podcast itself on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartMedia, just wherever it is that you typically listen to your, streaming service. Facebook now, apparently, you know, wherever it is that you listen to, that is where it needs to go. Like you need to listen to it, and please throw some comments and reviews on there. Absolutely subscribe and follow. And of course, share this with your friends. Share it with your friends and the family. If you guys aren't listening to the current episodes, take them down to past ones. Listen to some of these great people and what they're doing, what you can add and be able to help and be part of that community, because we got an amazing rugby community happening here. I'm telling you, some amazing people to talk to. And as things get more and more relevant, whether it's PR7s or whether we got now the All Blacks game coming up this week, or see, I'm dating myself, so let you guys know. But whether it is HSBC Sevens tournaments or RAN tournaments or whatever it is that's going on within the rugby verse, man, we're going to try and make sure to bring in the people that add context and stories and not just stats and play-by-plays in any sense of the way, because, the more you get to know the people, the better the sport gets. I'm telling you, this is the best reality show that hasn't been watched as often as others, so we want to mark that up. But as far as who we have for today, we got a really special guest. I guess you guys know I am an HBCU rugby enthusiast. Love to be able to see it. By the way, shout out to Howard women and Howard men for doing their thing, and Howard women getting their first 2 wins back-to-back in their inaugural 2 games against John Hopkins and Towson. Shout out to Kirill Guthrie with her foundation, and Catherine Aversanu coaching for the women over there, and big shout out to the men, Tito and getting started for their season and everything like that. So we got some great there's some great things happening within HBCU rugby as we get closer and closer to the HBCU Rugby Classic. Look out for the announcement on the dates. It's coming incredibly soon. It's just been delayed because of life. But we have, I'm coming back down, Prairie View A&M's Malik Johnson. Actually, let me correct it. The founder, one of the co-founders of Prairie View A&M Rugby, the second ever rugby club in the USA, the second ever HBCU rugby club in the USA, and first one in Texas, and probably, I would argue, maybe the most active and largest one at this point. I think Howard is trying to come for their money, but we got a chance to talk with him, get more of the backstory of how this program got started and what's been going on. It was a very interesting conversation. Enjoyed it. I appreciate Malik for reaching out and being like, yo, let me tell the side. Because, we've been adding the Prairie View A&M people, and we're continuing to add all the HBCU. If there's an HBCU rugby program, they're going to be on this. They're going to be on Grow Rugby. All right. We're going to get the story on Grow Rugby. So one way or another, we're going to go make that happen. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. But in the meantime, guys, if you are interested in getting a new website, getting a e-commerce store, and you guys know if you've been watching me online, I've been really pushing e-commerce and putting some stuff together for that. You guys want to go and utilize Green Geeks. It is the premier web hosting server. It is better than GoDaddy. It kicks Bluehost's butt, in my opinion. It takes out anything that you can pick up from your typical run-of-the-mill host. Green Geeks offers multiple options to be able to not just build your website, but also to be able to promote and to be able to create the best communication styles. For me, I use it for every single one of my sites, and I have not regretted one bit of it. And you guys can get it for almost 60% off for your first year if you guys use the link down below in the descriptions. And you will not regret. You can bring on as many sites as you want, unlimited, and you guys are only going to be paying probably about $6 to $7 per month to be able to get it on for this first year, and you will not regret it one bit. You can even purchase your first domain name through them or use somebody else, but Green Geeks, absolutely recommend that you use it. And of course, guys, don't forget to go check out Rugby Outlet Mall. I know we've been talking about the switchover about to happen, and the switchover is about to happen. Black Friday is going to be coming up very, very soon. Guys, you want to get your presents for Christmas, hook up your family, represent, take it down. Yo, check out some of our iconic rugby gear. Check out the HBCU rugby representation. And of course, just hook it up from top to bottom, making sure that you got the dopest gear that's going to be here when it comes to rugby rep and community love. Continuing to always want to be able to develop and grow the game and include you in whatever it is that lets you be able to rep who you are more and more. So definitely check out Rugby Outlet Mall and use promo code GROW RUGBY, GREAUX Rugby, for 20% off all HBCU and GiftTime rugby gear. That includes iconic rugby stuff. So guys, I hope you have a great one. Now I'm not going to hold it off any longer. I'm going to listen and check out the awesome Malik Johnson, Prairie View A&M co-founder.
Grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Ebelu, and we got incredible P all up in here, coming straight out from Prairie View A&M, and we're finally going to get this story. We've been working on this for the last couple of years, but we're going to get the story. How did Prairie View A&M Rugby, the second developed rugby program in the country, current champions, current attending HBCU Rugby Classic participants, because we kind of had a little off, but you know what? All that comes to say that we got HBCU rugby continuing to rise high and going. Malik Johnson on here. Malik, man, thank you so much for coming through, bro.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Man, well, look, dude, I have to say, whenever it's been with this process, Prairie View A&M particularly is very near and dear. Particularly the rugby program is very near and dear to me. Between them and Morehouse, the HBCU Rugby Classic wouldn't exist. So I've been trying to make sure that I can be an advocate and be able to help wherever I can to see that program develop. And I love what the guys have been doing with Rico, who I got to meet first, and then seeing what Craig Dawson is able to do with the program. But, with every program, you got to get the beginning. You got to see it, how it all started. And, yo, brother, it sounds like you were the one that's was at the head of this situation.
Well, I definitely did the bulk of the work at establishing the infrastructure. There was definitely more that I wish I could have done, but the fact that I was able to get us into a conference and get us established to where we were official. That kind of was pretty much all me my freshman year.
Yo, I love that. I love it. It sounds so much like Rashad out of North Carolina A&T. So I'm excited for this. But before we get started with Prairie View A&M, I kind of always say, and you said you've heard this, so you're going to hear the same thing. Every superhero has an origin story. So I want to be able to make sure, you know what it is. Malik, brother, how'd you get started with rugby?
With rugby, that's a crazy story in itself. Okay, so right, so my senior year, my senior year of high school, I was playing football as most rugby transfers in America come from a football origin. Mine was the same. I had worked hard to get recruiters for myself. I was going to the Nike Combine and everything like that.
What was your position?
Running back and linebacker.
Nice. Right there.
And I was I was trying to focus. I was trying to focus on getting recruited as a linebacker and hopefully switch to running back once I got to college. I had gotten emails and calls to my mother from Air Force Academy.
Nice.
And my senior year, I kind of got through under the bus. We lost our first games, like something like 40-7 to 6 or 60-7, something like really bad. And
yeah,
it was a throwaway game, and the coaches knew that we were going to lose, but they needed somebody to pin it on, and I kind of ended up being the fall guy, the only person that ended up losing their position, and I got benched for the whole season my senior year. And the recruiters stopped calling and everything, and that kind of just like ruined my my athletic career as far as football was concerned. And I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings at the time. While I was still a senior, I'd already quit the football team, and two women from the Dallas Harlequins team, the women's club, the Division I women's club, they had came in looking for somebody else. And, me being the curious guy I am, I started asking questions. Well, what's rugby? What's this and that? And, they kind of laced me up on it.
Wait, and, are you based out of Dallas? Are you from Dallas originally, or?
I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but my family moved to the Dallas area when I was a teenager. Gotcha. So I spent a little bit of middle school and my high school in Dallas.
Gotcha.
So they kind of laced me up on the game of rugby, and they were telling me to come out and play for the Dallas Harlequins, and I was thinking about it, but at the time, I was 18, still in high school, still didn't know anything, and I listened to my boss, and he was like, "Nah, colleges don't want to look at rugby highlights. You need to go play semi-pro football because that's gonna do better for you." That was the stupid decision. I should have just went straight to rugby, and so. When I got on campus, that's when we ended up starting the rugby program. That's when we got everything, got the ball rolling, and we knew that 2014 was going to be our first inaugural season, right. And so I wanted to go ahead and like learn as much as I can. And so literally that next summer after my freshman year of college, I went back to Dallas for summer vacation, and I committed to playing with the Dallas Harlequins for the whole summer, and that was my first time like actually playing organized rugby. And I got to learn from a lot of great coaches. The coach for the U20 squad for the national team for the United States, he was coaching. He still actually does coach for the Dallas Harlequins, and he was coaching that year for sevens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to learn a lot under him, and I was very blessed to get that opportunity.
Yo, so you backtrack a little bit. So whenever you said that you went on campus and you guys wanted to create a rugby program, who was we? So like, because even at that, like, who were the people that were starting it? Was it just one person? Was it a few of you? How'd you guys figure that?
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you the exact story of how Prairie View Rugby started, and this is where it really happened, right? So I'm a freshman. I'm in the freshman dorms with another guy named AJ.
Okay.
Me and him, we both wanted to try out for the football team, but we knew we needed like a year to really get ourselves conditioned and get ourselves ready for Division I football, because Prairie View is Division I. They're Division I AA.
Right.
So we were taking the time, working out, doing all this and that. And then there was a guy. His name is John Riley, and he was talking about, having a rugby club on campus, but needing numbers and all this and that. And so, we thought that the rugby team was already established. We just needed guys. And
right.
I was basically at the time just in charge of recruiting. So I recruited somewhere near 30 people. And so we had 30 people coming out to these practices that John was supposed to be teaching us how to play rugby, and we're supposed to be learning the fundamentals of the game. And then we were supposed to go play who we thought was supposed to be Houston. And we all got up on a Saturday early in the morning, like 5-6 o'clock in the morning, just for John to tell us that the game was canceled.
Oh wow!
And so after that, people were like, "Well, we've been doing all this work and going all this hard, just for our game to get canceled. All right, whatever." Went to another practice, another week. We were supposed to play like UNT or somebody.
Yeah.
Saturday we get up early. That game gets canceled. So after that, we lose a whole bunch of people, right, and we're trying to figure it out. So I had to recruit more people, and then I'll never forget this. It was we were supposed to play LSU. John told us we were playing LSU. Got up early in the morning. That game got canceled. Lost another 30 people. So I recruited 30 people twice and lost 30 people twice.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure this out. AJ, the other guy, he's sitting up here telling me like, "Yo, bro, like something's kind of weird," because I text LSU and they said they didn't even know that they were supposed to have a game with us. And I was like, "Huh? Okay." And so I kind of never minded it. It is what it is. We were supposed to play Houston, University of Houston. They're 40 minutes down the road.
Right.
That seems legit.
Right.
Another game gets canceled. I go to a baseball game with Prairie View, or no, it was a softball game, a Prairie View softball game, and there's 8 University of Houston rugby guys there at the softball game. And I said, "Yo, what happened? Like, y'all were supposed to play us in rugby." It was like, they said Prairie View has a rugby team. And at that point, it was just like, okay, what's going on? You feel what I'm saying? Like, I go up on the official USA Rugby website. We're not listed anywhere. There's nothing of us anywhere. I go to the campus. I'm talking to the people that organize that run the clubs and organizations. They don't know anything about us either. we basically had to start from the ground up and learn all the information. And me and AJ, us two freshmen, AJ was like a sophomore, or junior at the time. Right. We're two freshmen. We're just like, you know what? We don't know what's going on, but this ain't it. And this just seems unorganized. We're just gonna have to do this ourselves.
Right.
And so AJ ended up getting us in touch with the Woodlands Rugby Club, and that's when we had our first rugby game. It was just a scrimmage. We lost. It is what it is.
But you guys finally got some play time.
Yeah, we finally got some play. And so after the game, I started chopping it up with, the coaches and the other players as I'm trying to do. I'm trying to network and understand rugby better because, this is my first time doing anything like this. And I meet our future coach. His name was Brian Key. Wonderful dude, great soul, great human being. And he basically taught me everything I know about the fundamentals of the game and helping me finding out who I am as a player.
Right.
And he got me in touch with the head guy Shane, who runs the NSCRO, the National Small College Rugby Organization. Right, he got me in touch with Shane, and so that's basically where we got into a conference. I had to go back and actually do all the paperwork to get us all registered as far as the school standpoint. I did all of that on my own. And then AJ was supposed to come with me on the committee meeting in order for us to get inaugurated into the conference. But, he got drunk and was partying with chicks the night before. So he just kind of like stayed back home. And it was me and Brian Key. We drove out to St. Edward's University, and we got voted in, and the rest was history at that point.
So what for you guys, like, what was that initial process when you're talking about like recruiting 60 people? Like that's quite a bit early. I mean, just early on, especially within the Black community, especially in 2014, is not exactly the heaviest knowledgeable when it comes to rugby. Or if it is knowledgeable, a lot of people tend to be like, yo, you're crazy, you're hitting without pads. So for you, like, what was the process that got you to, I guess, get them onto the pitch?
Dude, it's funny because I was told so many times while like building Prairie View Rugby that it was never going to happen.
Right.
Like the thing about it is the way that our freshman dorms are set up. We have a lounge area that everyone's in, and like everyone kind of knew me. I wasn't like the most well liked guy, but everyone kind of knew me, and everyone thought that I was just the guy that says crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. So when I'm talking about rugby to and I had a lot of athletes, a lot of Division I athletes in my in my dorm. So a lot of them were just like, what rugby? Like, no way, it's never gonna happen. Da, 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 da. I've had to go through a lot of people talking about, the without pads and all that. I went through all of that.
Right.
But when you do your research, right, and you figure and you have a better understanding of rugby, you're able to explain to people, certain things, like, you feel what I'm saying? The fact that the contact is different.
Right.
And as I got along, and the more I talked to people, and the more I, got comfortable trying to recruit, the more I was able to say, hey, you're less likely to get injured in rugby than you are in football because, it's wrap-up tackle. It's not kill shots. It's not leading in with your head. So, and then bringing up the fact that the New Zealand All Blacks flew out to, Seattle when they were during their Legion of Boom era to teach the defense how to go into contact and how to tackle. And the fact that they didn't really have too many injuries in their reign, it was an easy translation for somebody from that comes from the football lane to digest.
Right. Yo, okay, that makes perfect sense. I love that. Like, you know, it's always been like I said, it's always been an interesting process of being able to explain to people that, I guess basically to kind of fight the mythos of rugby on trying to see like, yo, like it's a tough sport. People are tough. Yes, we get it, but it's also like not reckless. Like it's not blood sport, even though. I mean, sometimes it can get bloody, but it's not blood sport the way that people have it in their mind, you know?
Right.
So, no, I love that. For you, like when you were setting it up, for you though, as a person who had initial aspirations as a college athlete, especially if you're getting looked at by Air Force and their wing T offense, you know, what was the space that you felt like rugby was able to, I guess, kind of fill in that element for you?
Well, the thing about it was for me, as far as just like high school, I never had like grand like ideas of like becoming like an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
My whole dream was to be a college athlete. You know what I'm saying? Play for a Division I college. And be one of the guys. Go out, party, enjoy my time, make some plays on Saturday. You feel what I'm saying? Get some girls, you know?
Right.
It's like the stuff that college. I wanted the college athlete experience. I wanted to be able to experience that Division I college athlete life. And what I will say is, even though I couldn't. I'll never be able to call myself a Division I athlete. I did a lot of the things because of rugby that I said that I wanted to do.
Word.
I've gotten girls because of rugby. I've made plays and made a lot of, even though a lot of them didn't get recorded. I've made a lot of great plays and did a lot of great things on the field. And I have a highlight tape on YouTube that's like 4,000 views strong. So,
nice.
You know, like I will say that as far as just like accomplishments goes, with my college career with rugby,
yeah, like
I can't be mad at it because I left it all out there and I did the best that I could. Nice. I do feel like, you know, there was more that I could have accomplished, but you know, I'm not mad at where I'm at.
No, I'm happy to hear that. So you're in your freshman year. You're starting to play rugby. Your family is your family knowing about the rugby life early on, or was it one of those where you're just kind of like, yo, I'm living the college life right now. If they need to know, they need to know.
Well, my family knew that I started the rugby team, and they knew the history behind it. It being like the first HBCU in the state of Texas and the second worldwide.
Yeah, and
so you know, my family is kind of bougie, you know. So it's kind of like, they're like all about like achievements and accolades. So you know, me doing that was kind of just like, oh, it's something to brag about.
Yeah,
but like after my freshman year, I really struggled with, because like building the infrastructure that was Prairie View Rugby and building that took a lot of time, and so my grades really suffered. So after my freshman year, like my mom didn't even want me going to Prairie View.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I like basically my whole time, like I'm finally now as at 26 have a year and a half left in school. Mm-hmm. Like I've had to basically do like everything on my own after my freshman year, because I kind of became the black sheep because I didn't like hold up to the standards academically that they expected me to.
Yeah.
So but so like it was kind of a double-edged sword. Like when I first created it, everyone was just like, yay. But after my freshman year, and I had to kind of get that grind back into being able to be in good academic standing, you know, everybody just wanted me to just like not go to Prairie View anymore, like go to a community college, then transfer somewhere else and try to start again or whatever. So that's just what it was.
Does your family have like a legacy with Prairie View A&M? Was there a specific reason why you chose it, or because TSU
really.
is like right near you, right?
Not. It wasn't a legacy. My mother went there. After my mother went to Prairie View like back in the 90s, like right before she had me, and then she left after like a year or two because financial aid was screwing her over.
Right.
And so that was really my only tie to Prairie View. The reason why I stayed at Prairie View was because I kind of looked at it like, oh, well, it's my life. So I want to do things differently. My mother quit it, but I'm the type of person like I want to finish what I start.
Facts.
So, you know, and you know, I've done really good in my life about like not repeating some of my parents' mistakes. Of course, just like every kid, I've repeated some of them, but you know, I've also done good about, you know, not repeating some of my mother's mistakes. And I think that her not finishing at Prairie View was a mistake.
Yeah,
it's such a great school, and for all the BS that you go through, I don't regret continuing my education there. And
nice.
I've just kind of kept it going.
Yo, I love that. You know, I always say, you know, one of the things, the reasons that we do so, especially once you get into the university level, which is why I've never been an advocate of the anti-university movement, though I understand the cost advocation of the cost, people's issue with costs. I understand that. But there's an element that comes with it, especially when you're young, 18, 19, 20, when you're in that middle developing adult stage where having that social transition point can help in more ways than just what it is for the academic side, but it helps for personal development and the characteristic development and being able to test things that you might not even be able to do typically in a real world setting. It's a little bit more protected, but it's freer than what you would have had in high school, you know?
Correct. Most definitely.
So for you, whenever you're doing this program, how long did you get a chance to play with them? With Prairie View A&M, with the rugby team itself?
Well, let's see. Officially 4 years. That you get 5 years of eligibility, so technically I still have another year of eligibility left, but I'm not finna stress myself playing with that club anymore. It's a lot of stress, a lot of headache. But yeah, I played 4 years. I played 2014, 2015. We went on a playoff run,
right?
And unfortunately lost in the first round. 2017 and 2018.
Okay, so we basically got the consecutive 4 years off of that. So for you in that moment, because this is the time that you, outside of what you did with the Dallas Harlequins, with the Dallas Rugby Club, I guess technically, but no, Dallas Harlequins, you're getting pretty consistent play time with that. For you, what was one of the advantages? Obviously, you spoke about, you know, being able to kind of get a little bit of that D1 athlete life socially, but whenever you were on the field, what was one of the things that you were finding out maybe about yourself as you continued playing the sport and then developing with the club?
The thing about it is, even before playing rugby, I'm very aware of my strengths and weaknesses as an athlete, and I know where I can excel and where I can't. So coming to the rugby field and building my IQ for the game and just figuring out how I can assert myself and how I can make an impact, I kind of figured out like what type of player I am. Like I feel like the best player that emulates like me is Sonny Bill Williams. I love his ferocity on both attack and defense, and I love his offload ability. And that's just like my biggest thing that I work on is my offload ability. Right. And I attribute that just to, you know, practicing passing. Like I practice passing. I pass to myself all the time, and so I would say that that's like over the years of playing. That's been kind of just like what I've been learning is my identity as a player, and the things that I can do well, and the things that I can work on, and what my peak and what my ceiling is.
Right.
Because I definitely want to be realistic about my expectations.
Right.
I definitely think that especially with the MLR, I think that it's very possible for me to make it there. I don't think that I'm going to be a star doing it, right. But I definitely think that I can be a decent inside center for somebody, and you know, be a great facilitator and a hard runner. And right. I've had to learn that through a lot of trial and error, and a lot of practice that I attribute a lot to my time outside of Prairie View Rugby, and more towards being able to play with the Harlequins at a level up with better coaching. And I've also played for the New York Rugby Club for a time, and I learned a lot there. And now playing with the Houston Athletic Rugby Club, being able to play, you know, a step up and then go back to Prairie View, where the competition is not as advanced. It really helps being able to, you know, do certain things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do at the next level up, or you have to work harder just to be able to do it.
Right. So is a lot of this, was it kind of this process, a lot of self-discovery? Because it seems like there's a lot that you have a bit attached when it comes to what your time was with Prairie View, both as a university student and as a rugby player. Like, how much of that kind of pieced together, like, your own personal characteristics in its development?
Well, I mean, I would say definitely part of it was a lot of self-discovery, because like I said, after my freshman year, I kind of got cut off from my family, so I had to learn a lot about myself, because that was like I had been on my own before that. Like, I've been on my own basically since 17, but that was the first time after my freshman year, that was the first time that I could definitely significantly say that I did not have any family that I could just really rely on, and I had to rely on myself. So a lot of you know, a lot of playing with Prairie View Rugby and playing with other teams and interacting with other people, you know, it really helped me have a better understanding of myself versus other people. Because like I said earlier, I'm very self-aware. I know that I'm not the most likable person. I'm a very blunt person, for sure. So and I get straight to the point. I don't sugarcoat things, and you know that to some people can be very off-putting, and it's not like I mean anything by it. You know, with it's not that I mean to insult anybody, but you feel what I'm saying? Like, you say things in a certain way, like, hey, you know, the way that you're passing, you're not supposed to pass that way. You're supposed to pass like this. And you know, somebody might take it as, well, who the fuck are you to tell me that?
Right.
You know? So I've had to learn a lot about communication and work on my communication skills, and that's what rugby has allowed me to do, is learn a lot about myself, a lot about how I'm perceived, and how I can better display who I really am as a person.
Right.
Because I really do enjoy the game.
Right.
And I really want more African Americans to follow the game of rugby and find a new avenue, because we have all of these guys that want to be basketball players, all these guys that want to be football players, and there's so many of them. Only 1% of them get the opportunity. This is another lane, another opportunity for young athletes to be able to try to get to. And I've been trying my best to kind of be that figure of just like of promotion and development of African American rugby.
No, I love that. And I obviously, for me, it's something that I think is particularly one. And I know in this day and age, especially when you have things like what we've seen with the Premier Sevens that just happened, and what you're getting with the MLR, and you're starting to see little elements of it develop now into the national team. But you more and more insertion of ethnic ability, ethnic cultures, ethnic people, black, brown, whoever, being added in, and especially within the black community, being able to see the opportunities, not from just a field standpoint, but from opportunity standpoint that rugby has been able to provide in that way. So there's always that effort that I love being able to see with that. But at the same time, it's like there's still so much of the personal attributes of the sport that still have to get overcome in some of its old history that work to continue to build in like culture into the sport, like continue to bring culture into rugby as opposed to just having rugby culture envelop whatever culture that you are. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, it's like my new captain on Hart, Houston Athletic Rugby Club.
Yeah.
It's like he me and him were chopping it up this past Tuesday, and he was telling me about like how rugby is over in England and Great Britain versus here in America.
Right.
And he was just telling me like rugby in its purest form historically is a private school sport.
Right. Very parochial.
Like that's exactly. And so, what its origins are from these private prep school white boys out in England. You feel what I'm saying? And right. Like, first of all, like, we know how private school guys out here in America. Just like I've been to private school, so I know how some of those guys act.
Right.
And then you gotta think the culture difference of being in Great Britain, and they're very sarcastic and very snarky,
very dry in their humor.
Exactly. So, like, they say that rugby is a gentleman's sport, right? And now here we are in America, and the thing about Americans in sports, whereas it's different than overseas, we're very competitive.
Of course,
very competitive, very very shit talking, very
right.
Very very extroverted. Like the difference between like rugby and most sports is like you have guys that you want to root for.
Right.
Like you have guys you want to root for in rugby, but they're very bland versus a basketball player who's very outspoken and socially conscious, or a football player who's very outspoken and socially conscious. And it's starting to get to that point, especially with a lot of the black athletes in America, which I feel like is great for the sport because it makes people want to watch. And let's just be honest, the black American athlete is the best athlete in America. Statistically, if we want to just go by statistics, black athletes here in America are the best athletes here in America. So what better to build the foundation of rugby here in America than the black athlete?
And I think that there's accuracy to that, but it's even goes back again to like what inspires. And that I think that's also kind of one of the reasons why I always say it's important to recognize both opportunity and athleticism. lest you find yourself being presented as another sport. And the worst thing would be, well, not that it hasn't already presented in a lot of ways, is to be another sport that is driven by overly, I'm not an anti-capitalist, but overly capitalistic white men who have a single vision of just utilizing the athleticism and disassociating the person. Like we can make the accusation for many other sports, and making sure that we actually acknowledge the legitimacy of what rugby is, which is an athletic sport, but that has such a global reach that you have additional opportunities that can actually range out from that. So I think that's actually the real power that actually works within the Black community, that you can still do. You can do the athletics, and that stands out. And obviously that's one of the biggest key components. Better presentation on the field makes for better attraction, but also that you're capable of doing things off the field that's still in association, whether it's something from a media, whether it's statistical, whether it is language, whether it's political, whether it's geographical, doesn't matter. There's a range and ability to pop in there. But
I would say that I would personally say that because of the global reach of rugby, I don't think it's ever gonna just totally be like completely capital. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they tried to do with what was the rugby league that they had before MLR.
Oh yeah, the pro rugby, or are you talking about the one that was out of Minnesota?
I think it was pro rugby. I think it was called pro rugby. But that's you see how that they tried to run that more capitalistic, and it flopped. Because rugby is so much like soccer and just the culture. I truly believe that it's never going to be completely capitalistic, just because there's even at the club level there's so much global reach. You could be at the club level playing with a dude that's from Scotland,
right?
Playing with a dude that's from Australia. You know, there's so much cultural integration in the sport of rugby, just at the lower levels, that I think that because we're getting to a point here in the MLR where you can only have so many, foreign players on one team. It's still gonna be very, very what's the word? It's still gonna be very culturally sensitive and culturally accepting.
Yeah, I mean it's a hope and goal. I don't know if I fully agree with that in the sense that it hasn't. To be honest with you, I think it's actually a lot more now. I just don't think it's. I don't think the returns have, at least from a financial level, have proven itself to be. But I think this is a global issue. I could go into the geopolitical rugby element for days, because there's so much that goes in it. But one thing I will say is true, and that I agree with you fully. The impact of the grassroots levels of rugby impact far greater than the grassroots elements of other major sports. And
correct.
So I think that's where you see the most implementation of specific culture, whether from country to country. And that's when you get to see that kind of amalgamation into what we want as a global rugby, whether it's rugby union or league, though I prefer union, but rugby union or league, either or.
I just say give it time. I say give it another decade. I feel like in another decade, especially with the MLR and how it's crazy how it works. Once America gets its attention on something, it always blows up, whatever it is.
Right.
I truly feel like with the rise of MLR, with the rise of high school rugby and youth rugby being better developed here in America, and with the rise of clubs being better developed and college rugby being developed, I feel like in the next decade we're gonna start seeing the profit of it both from a financial standpoint and from an economical and from a fan standpoint. I believe it's going to grow. Mark my words, 10 years.
That one I do agree with. I think the more that we realize that it's an entertainment product, and the more that we treat it like an entertainment product, but we also it's going to be still a more amalgamated version where it still has the amateur. I feel like it's almost going to be very college football-esque without it being limited to what. Well, I mean, depending on what part of the world. I mean, for us, Texas, Louisiana, college football is life. But like, if we're going like the Northeast or something like that, then to where they consider as it's a lower version, and it's going to find that middle ground. I agree on that one. Kind of top some things off because I kind of wanted to finish some things out with Prairie View because I do like the direction for you. You did your 4 years. Are you still doing stuff with Prairie View A&M? Because you kind of made some mentions that you're like, I don't know if I want to go back and do anything with that as you're working with Hark and stuff.
Well, I still because I'm trying to get prepared for my season with Hark. They start in December, and I'm trying to get in the best shape that I can possible because I want to try to pursue a professional stint after this year.
Right.
And so when I'm not practicing at Hark, I'm practicing at Prairie View.
Nice.
And of course, I'm not gonna sit up there and just practice and not put in the effort to help as somebody who knows as much about the game as I do.
Yeah.
Like if anybody has questions or if there's anything that I feel like I could give to a player or the team, I'm gonna give that information. That's how I've always been. If I see somebody passing wrong or if I see somebody kicking wrong, I go up to them and I say, "Hey, your form is off. This is what you need to do to fix it. Hey, your spacing is off. You got to be a little bit farther, and you got to run onto the ball in order to catch the ball on pace, so that you can have a better run. This and that, just whatever it might be. I share it and I try to give as much knowledge as I can to anybody that's willing to listen to it. And what I will say about this team that they have now is they're way more hungrier than the team that I had.
Yeah, it's a different stage, though. I mean, look at it. You guys have a women's team now, which is fantastic. You guys,
we always had a women's team, actually.
So, okay, you guys have an active women's team that is playing games now, right?
Yeah, that's the because after I had established the infrastructure of the men's team, I tried to establish the infrastructure for the women's team. Mm-hmm. Because I was trying to get to a point where we could get scholarships, and the only way that I could do that is to build up the women's team because they were eligible to be an NCAA sport.
Right.
So they were eligible to get
Title IX and working with
exactly. So we had a women's team for a good minute. It's just we never had enough to where they could like play like consistent games.
Yeah.
And it just took them a little bit longer to get the numbers.
Yeah.
But we've had a women's team. We've had a women's team in officially in the conference.
Yeah.
Just as long as we've had maybe a year, maybe if you want to say technically we didn't have them in a conference until 2015.
Yeah.
We had a women's team just as long as we had men's.
Nice. Well, I love what they've been able to do. I mean, look, again, I'll say being the first women's HBCU team is HBCU women's team is just dope on its own. And being able to see them play was awesome, especially the competition that we put them against, whether it was helpful or not, but you definitely watch them develop over the course of the HBCU Rugby Classic. So I'm excited to see what they do, and especially now that Howard has their women's team up and active. I'd love to be able to see that coming together for the next HBCU Rugby Classic, and we are going to make that try and happen by any means necessary. So
I'm definitely excited. Definitely excited.
For you, like when it's now seeing what you started with Prairie View A&M, what is it that you feel is the future for the school's program?
The future for the school's program completely depends on them. Like I said, they are much more hungrier than the team that I was on. The team that I was on, we had a lot of dogs, a lot of athletes, but as a collective group, we didn't work that hard. Right. I was the guy. Me personally, I was the guy that showed up 30 minutes before practice and did extra drills. But not everybody practiced and had the work ethic that I necessarily had. This new team that's under Craig, I will say they are much hungrier, and everyone wants to get better. Everyone wants to work hard. Everyone wants to learn something new and bring something new to their team. Nice. So I will say that the future of Prairie View Rugby completely depends on the leadership and their ability to continue to get better. For the longest time, everyone has said both on the club level and on the college level that if Prairie View Rugby learns everything fundamentally, their athleticism is good enough to beat any team that they play against.
Word.
They have the potential to be a powerhouse. Prairie View Rugby has always had the potential to be a powerhouse. I truly believe that under the right leadership and the right grooming, it can become a Division I club and a prestigious club. So it had the potential's there. It all depends on them now. My time with them, unfortunately, is done. So there's only so much that I can do now.
Right.
But hopefully somebody comes across this interview that's on Prairie View Rugby that has big dreams and aspirations, and they can kind of pick up the torch where I left it and bring it to that. And who knows, it might happen in the next few years. But definitely the potential is there to be a prestigious club for sure.
I love it. Malik, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and to tell the story and give a little bit more insight into the development of Prairie View A&M. Obviously, we want the HBCUs to continue to grow. This is the third of many that are still coming, second of many, and obviously we're seeing more and more grow each day. So happy for the contribution and grateful for your time, man.
Most definitely. Thank you very much for having me out. Like I said, I'm very appreciative.
Y'all, thank you so much, Malik. I appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you going through it and telling the story, because the story makes for history. The history makes for connection, and the connection always allows us to be able to grow and deepen out for the future. So thank you. And guys, definitely check out some of our other podcasts, some of our other shows. We had our 2 series of Developing Rugby, part 2 and part 1. Last time we've had some great ones. Maria Thomas of Trinidad and Tobago, Keisha Ann Downs, Vice President for Jamaica Rugby Union, Tiffany Faye. We've had Cody Melfi, both of them USA Rugby, both Rugby World Cup and the Olympics. Just some amazing people. Just so much. Naya Tappers, Chetta Ambas, Ryan Ginties, James Brunson of the North Philly Nomads. Just an amazing subsect and group of people to be able to work and utilize off them. So guys, I hope you guys enjoy. Please, I hope that I hope that you're happy, I hope that you're healthy, and most importantly, I hope that you know that you are highly favored. Until next time, cheers.